So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. And
Hare Krishna.
thank you, Japa. We'll just carry on. We're talking about Prthu Maharaj. And today, we're talking about King Prthu's 100 horse sacrifices. So you can see Prthu Maharaj, he's on a mission to sort everything out for his citizens. And now when he's pacified the planet Earth, now he's going to do some horse sacrifices, which is supposed to be very auspicious. But in the process, he's going to upset a few people. So let's see what happens. So the great sage Maitreya continued, "My dear Vidur, King Prthu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifices at the spot where the river Saraswati flows towards the east. This piece of land is known as Brahmavart, and it was controlled by Swayambhuva Manu. Now, when the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prthu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus, Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prthu. In the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. Now, this envy is also found in the personality of the king of heaven, Indra, as evident from revealed scriptures. Indra was several times envious of many persons. He was especially envious of great fruitive activities and the execution of yoga practices or siddhis. Indeed, he could not tolerate them. He desired to break them up. He was envious due to fear that those who perform great sacrifices for the execution of mystic yoga might occupy his seat. See, I think he was cursed with this fear. But, this is his own perception that just because somebody is doing something, that, it's something to do with him. It happens to us sometimes that we think, somebody said something, it was aimed at us, or somebody is doing something is to spite us. It's the wrong way that we think we are the center of attraction, that there's nothing else in this world. It's all about us. Everything that happens is because something to do with us. That is not always the case. Since no one is in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, everyone in the material world is called Matsara, envious. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is therefore said that Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for those who are completely Nirmatsara, non-envious. In other words, one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, if someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. It's like we are happy that Puri Mata is going to India, she's going to Vrindavan, makes us happy. And like Rukmini Mata just mentioned that, oh great, she'll be even more advanced when she comes back. So, we're happy for the devotees. Such non-envy is typical of Vaikuntha. However, when one is envious of his competitor, that is material. The demigods posted in the material world are not exempt from envy. So even at the position of demigods, this is going on. What to say about? Let's pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Lamyate Grim Yat Kirpatabham Vande Shri Gurum Din Dharanam Pramanandamazvam Shri Chaitanya Ishram Hari Om Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Sasvityasam Tato Jayamaduriyet Nasta Abhadareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is present in everyone's heart as the Super Soul. And he is the proprietor of all planets and the enjoyer of the results of sacrifices. He was personally present at the sacrifices made by King Prthu. So Lord Narayan is there as well. King Prthu Maharaj was a Shakti Avesha avatar. So although we say is the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he was a Shakti Avesha avatar incarnation. So actually Prthu Maharaj was a living entity. So he was a jiva just like us, but he acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. So he acquired the potency of ruling. So he was a special ruler with potency of God, and thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. So Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva, not Prthu Maharaj. He is the Jiva. Maharaj Prthu belonged to the Jiva Tattva. The Vishnu Tattva indicates God, whereas the Jiva Tattva indicates the part and parcel of God. We are part and parcel of God. Sometimes people think that because they are spirit soul, that they are God, but it's mentioned that we are part and parcel of God, which means that we can never be God. We are part and parcel, which means we are tiny, we are minute, we are only a part of God, we're not God. When God's part and parcel is especially empowered, so we can get empowered, we can get mercy, he is called Shakti Avesha Avatar. And Lord Vishnu is herein described as Hari Ishvara. The Lord is so kind that he takes all miserable conditions away from his devotees. Consequently, he is called Hari. He is described as Ishvara because he can do whatever he likes. He is the supreme controller. The supreme Ishvara Purushottam is Lord Krishna. He exhibits his powers as Ishvara, or the supreme controller. When he assures his devotee in Bhagavad-Gita, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. So he can immediately make his devotee immune from all the reactions caused by sinful life if the devotee simply surrenders unto him. So this is one problem we have, is surrendering to authority. We find it very difficult. Krishna says, surrender to me and I will make everything okay. He is described herein as Sarv Atma, meaning that he is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. And as such, he is the supreme teacher of everyone. If we are fortunate enough to take the lessons given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad-Gita, our lives immediately become successful. No one can give better instructions to human society than Lord Krishna himself, because Bhagavad-Gita was spoken directly by Lord Krishna, so there can be no doubt of the instructions. So when Lord Vishnu appeared in the sacrificial arena, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the chief predominating personalities of every planet, as well as their followers, came with him. When he appeared on the scene, the residents of Gandharvalok, the great sages, and the residents of Apsaralok all praised him. So how fortunate is Prthu Maharaj that even God himself is coming to his the sacrifice, along with all the Trimurti themselves are coming. The Lord was accompanied by the residents of Siddhalok and Vidyadharalok, is all the lokas with special powers, and all the descendants of Diti, and the demons and the yakshas. He was also accompanied by his chief associates, headed by Sunanda and Nanda. Great devotees who were always engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as well as the great sages named Kapil, Narad, and Dattatreya, and masters of mystic powers, headed by Sanak Kumar, all attending the great sacrifice with Lord Vishnu. So these all the big names are attending. My dear Vidur, in that sacrifice, the entire land came to be like the milk-producing Kamdenu, and thus, by the performance of Yajna, all daily necessities for life were supplied. So you can see all these jivas like Kapil, Narad, Sanak Kumar, they are so exalted that they accompany Narayan himself, in big, big events. How fortunate they are. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And very big trees supplied fruit and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. So amazing. This yajna has been done, and everything's now abundant everywhere. All the supplies are being produced. And it's like the cows will eat the grass, and then they will produce the milk, curd, butter, everything. So everything starts from the earth. That's where everybody's fed from, and then even the trees producing the fruit, they are on the ground. If they're not getting nourishment, then how will they provide the fruit? So all the nourishment is coming from the earth itself. King Prthu was presented with various gifts from the general populace and predominating deities of all planets. The oceans and the seas were full of valuable jewels and pearls, and the hills were full of chemicals and fertilizers. So you can see how important the earth is for supplies. 4 kinds of edibles were produced profusely. So as stated in Upanishad, this material creation is supplied with all the potencies for the production of all necessities required by the living entities, not only human beings, but animals, reptiles, aquatics, and trees. The oceans and the seas produce pearls, coral, and valuable jewels so that fortunate law-abiding people can utilize them. Similarly, the hills are full of chemicals so that when rivers flow down from them, the chemicals spread over the fields to fertilize the 4 kinds of foodstuffs. These are technically known as charvya, those edibles which are chewed. Leha, those which are licked up. Susya, those which are swallowed. And peya, those which are, opiya could be, those which are drunk. Prthu was greeted by the residents of other planets and their presiding deities. They presented various gifts to the king and acknowledged him as the proper type of king by whose planning and activities everyone throughout the universe could be happy and prosperous. Well, he's bound to be the proper type of king because he had the potency of God. So indirectly, they are giving the glory to the Lord himself. It is clear, and this is how we should see it as well. If somebody is praising us, we should remember that this praise is coming because through God's mercy. And even if somebody insults us, that is also God's mercy. We should see like that in honor. I know it's easy to say, but at least we should attempt like that it's all God's mercy. It is clearly indicated in this verse that the oceans and seas are meant for producing jewels. But in Kali Yuga, the oceans are mainly being utilized for fishing. Shudras and poor men are allowed to fish, but the higher classes like Kshatriyas and Vaishyas would gather pearls. And the problem is, although poor men would catch tons of fish, they would not be equal in value to the 1 piece of coral or pearl. So in this age, so many factories for the manufacture of fertilizer have been opened. But when the person of Godhead is pleased by the performance of yajnas, the hills automatically produce fertilizing chemicals, which help produce edibles in the fields. So all the natural fertilizers, they're already there, but the factories tend to produce chemicals which actually are harmful to our bodies. Everything is dependent on the people's acceptance of the Vedic principles of sacrifice. So King Prthu was dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as a Dokshaj. Because King Prthu performed so many sacrifices, he was superhumanly enhanced by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. King Prthu's opulence, however, could not be tolerated by the King of Heaven. So now we're coming back to Indra again. Indra, who tried to impede the progress of his opulence, he was worried that if King Prthu does 100, he's done 99. So if he does 100, then it might surpass him. I was really worried that nobody else should be on his level or better than him. Maharaj Prthu is an incarnation of Vishnu. Yet he is a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Although an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he is nonetheless a living entity. As such, he must be a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why he got the power in the first place, right? Although one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is an incarnation, he should not forget his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of God, which means he is the servant of God. That's the relationship. In Kali Yuga, there are many self-made incarnations, rascals who declare themselves to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Bhagwan Indra indicate that a living entity can even be as exalted and powerful as King Indra. Or even King Indra is an ordinary living entity in the material world and possesses the 4 defects of the conditioned soul. So we all have 4 defects. So King Indra is described as Bhagwan, which is generally used in reference to the Supreme Personality Godhead. In this case, however, King Indra is addressed as Bhagwan because he has so much power in his hands. So he's a Bhagwan of his own area, of the heavens. Despite his becoming Bhagwan, he is envious of the incarnation of God. So no amount of power, no amount of wealth is never enough. It is never enough. Or we have it, we are worried about losing it. The defects of material life are so strong that due to contamination, King Indra becomes envious of an incarnation of God. So, which is shame. We should try to understand, therefore, how a conditioned soul becomes fallen. The opulence of King Prthu was not dependent on material conditions. He was a great devotee of Adoksha. The word Adoksha indicates the personality of Godhead, who is beyond the expression of mind and words. So Adoksha means inconceivable to the mind and words. We can't explain his potency. However, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears before the devotee in his original form of eternal bliss and knowledge. The devotee is allowed to see the Supreme Lord face to face, although the Lord is beyond the expression of our senses and beyond our direct perception. When Prthu Maharaj was performing the last 4 sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna, King Indra, invisible to everyone, stole the horse intended for sacrifice. He did this because of his great envy of King Prthu. King Indra is known as Shatkratu, which indicates that he has performed 104 sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yajna. So he's done 100, he doesn't want anybody else doing 100. We should know, however, that the animals sacrificed in the Yajna were not killed. If the Vedic mantras were properly pronounced during the sacrifice, the animal sacrifice would come out again with a new life. That is a test for a successful Yajna. When King Prthu was performing 100 Yajnas, Indra became very envious because he did not want anyone to excel him. Being an ordinary living entity, he became envious of King Prthu, and making himself invisible, he stole the horse and thus impeded the Yajna performance. When King Indra was taking away the horse, he dressed himself to appear a liberated person. So he dressed him like a sannyasi. Excuse me. Actually, this dress was a form of cheating, for it forcibly created an impression of religion. When Indra went into outer space in this way, the great sage Atri saw him and understood the whole situation. So, Indra took up the saffron-colored dress as a way of cheating others. This saffron dress has been misused by many impostors. So Srila Prabhupada explaining, who present themselves as liberated persons or incarnations of God. In this way, people are cheated because we we just go by somebody's dress. If they dress like a pujari or a sannyasi, we automatically think, yes, they must be very exalted. But it's not always the case. If somebody is wearing a suit and tie, we automatically assume they're very educated, but that may not certainly be the case. So yeah, we can't actually just go by the dress. We have to test these people. If they are wearing a suit and tie, we can check do they have the actual knowledge and the academia to be like like an officer or something, or whatever they dress like, or a sannyasi or pujari. Do they have that knowledge? Do they have the restraint? We must. So just wearing a dress is not enough. They must be practicing those qualities as well. As we have mentioned many times, the conditioned soul has a tendency to cheat. This is the thing. Therefore, this quality is also visible in a person like King Indra. It is understood that even King Indra is not liberated from the clutches of material contamination. So in this universe, every jiva can be illusioned and can become contaminated. That is the side effect of being a jiva. The saffron dress worn by sannyasi announces to the world that he has renounced all worldly affairs and is simply engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a devotee is actually a sannyasi, or liberated person. In Bhagavad-Gita 6.1, it is said, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karam kroti ya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na nir agnir na cha kriha. So one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. So that is a test. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. So a sannyasi should be one who is unattached to fruity activities, and he is completely renounced in his life, not somebody who does no yagyas or anything and announces himself as a sannyasi. Not like that. In other words, one who offers the results of his activities to the Supreme Personality Godhead is actually a sannyasi and yogi. Cheating sannyasis and yogis have existed since the time of Prthu Maharaj's sacrifice. So this cheating was very foolishly introduced by King Indra. So he started this, that you can dress up like a sannyasi or pretend to be a sannyasi. It's like the Indian saying, "Bagal mein shuri, muh mein ram ram." So pretending to be something else, but internally something totally opposite. In some ages, such cheating is very prominent, and in other ages, not so prominent. It is the duty of sannyasi to be very cautious because, as stated by Lord Chaitanya, Sanisra alpa shidra sarvaloke gaya. A little spot in sannyasi's character will be magnified by the public. Therefore, unless one is very sincere and serious, he should not take up the order of sannyas. One should not use his order as a means to cheat the public. It is better not to take up sannyas in this age of Kali, because provocations are very strong in this age. Only a very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding, should attempt to take up sannyas. One should not adopt this order as a means of livelihood for some material purpose. So very interesting. So thank you all so much for joining. Hina Mataji, Rukmani Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Madhav Shamsundar Prabhu, Partha Prabhu, and Praveen Mataji. It's a very interesting pastime. So I would love to hear what you understood from this, any realizations or applications would like to hear. Let's start from Praveen Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, I've just come to do few jobs. I'm listening, but I'm out. But thank you for your blessings and everything. The only realization of what's going in my head is like we just have to serve Krishna, and like even Indra was not free from all the jealousy and everything. So what can we say about ourselves? We are so low, but we have to keep our senses in check. And the other thing I want to say, like if we are thinking we are Krishna conscious, we have to see Krishna in everybody's heart. Then I think we will be on the right path. Then we will not disrespect anybody or we will not hurt anybody. Sorry about the background, Prabhuji. Sorry. And please, thank you so much for your association, everybody, and your classes, Prabhuji, like Mataji said. So finally, Radharani and Krishna, they, are merciful and we are able to go. So we're going tomorrow. So please keep us in your prayers. And
So what date you going?
Sorry.
What date you going?
Tomorrow, Prabhuji.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Okay. Well, you can join us from there.
Yeah, I will try. Yeah, so if I have the
Actually,
what you call it.
it will be more blissful. It will be more blissful. I mean,
Yes,
Ritu
yes.
is in India.
No,
She's
I will try definitely. Because if we have the I'm thinking data. I'm thinking because we don't know how it's going to
Wi-Fi.
work.
They have
Yeah,
Wi-Fi. If you go temple, you
but
can.
if there is data, because Friday is not a busy day according to the schedule, so I will be able to join and I will see.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you.
you.
And
Partha,
I just wanted to ask you a few more things. So I don't know if you'll have time today sometime, Prabhuji.
okay, we'll see. Yeah,
Just
so
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
sure. Partha Prabhu,
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. For me, the lesson is like, I mean, we should not be cheated by the outer dress. And he said, I thought for myself, I should not be cheating others by wearing some nice dress. So, I mean, I wear some dress. I take my chanting bead and sitting in front of some people and doing chanting. But I should not pretend myself that to get some glorification from other people. So I was thinking that. From my side only I'm thinking rather than looking into other people as well, and that's all, Prabhuji. And cheating existing in those times as well, that is very strange. So in Satyuga and those kind of yugas also cheating existing, that's very strange actually.
Yeah, this I think is saying that it's a defect. This is a defect we are when we are illusioned, when we are under illusion. It's not a defect of the soul. I think it's like when we are illusioned by material energy, we tend to get these four defects. Something's gone wrong in the system that is producing these four defects as well. We get illusion for sure because the material energy is illusionary anyway, and the senses we are given by this material body are imperfect as well. I mean, of course, look, I'm wearing glasses. The senses are imperfect, right? So, our hearing is imperfect, our seeing is imperfect, our smelling is imperfect. All our senses are imperfect. So, these are defects of material body and material energy, right? So this is a jiva situation. Krishna or Vishnu or Narayan, they have a transcendental body, so they're never illusioned. It's just that we are jivas, we are very minute, and people they find it difficult to understand how a spiritual soul can be illusioned, but because we are tiny, we material energy is stronger than us. Although we should be stronger, because material energy is inferior, we are superior energy, but still it seems to be stronger than us. Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Rukmini Mataji, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
A very nice lecture and very much to learn in this Kali Yuga. So we are very lucky about the Srila Prabhupada who has introduced us the Bhagavad-Gita. So I believe that read Bhagavad-Gita, chant Hare Krishna and nothing else. That is the easiest way to get nearest to Lord Sri Krishna. So we don't have to think anything else about this material world, because there's no end of thinking of material world, how far it will go and which condition or which any good points we can't even expect anything. So I believe that just chant Hare Krishna, be happy and chant, only chant. Then we will get good moksha and nice, good religious life and everything, the understanding. So we will stop ourselves to go on a wrong path. That's it, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, it's very, very important. This is why this process of purification is necessary. You want to get rid of that material energy that's controlling us. So it's very important to do this sadhana. The sadhana we're doing of chanting, of reading, of hearing classes, is all very important. Hare Krishna. Hina Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Thank you so much, Dr. Pranan, to all the devotees. Lovely, beautiful points that have been shared. They're absolutely they're lovely. I just wanted to kind of follow on from what's been said about envy, and Pravin Mataji has already made some like really nice points. So that was the area that I was thinking of while you were reading the verse about. Obviously, envy was affecting Indra, which highlights how important it is to root out envy. There is no room for envy in our life, in our Krishna conscious life. You know, envy is a material tendency, and that the way to root out envy is the problem of envy is because of our absorption in material life, which is my understanding. So we need to attach ourselves to Krishna. We need to detach ourselves to the material life, and attach ourselves to the holy name, to devotees, devotional life. Devotional service. And it kind of also prompted me, the whole envy topic prompted me to just Google a verse. I couldn't remember it. I just had to quickly Google it now, but it was something that Srila Prabhupada said about envy being so dangerous and a snake being involved. As I've just found it, and I'll just repeat it. It says a snake can be charmed. This is what he says: a snake can be charmed by sound vibration, mantra, or herbs, but the man most envious is more dangerous than the snake, which just goes to show how envy is such a bad characteristic, essentially, and how dangerous it is in our life. So that was all I wanted to share. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. And the whole theme of this talk was based on Indra's envy, and you're right, envy is so dangerous because the three gateways to hell, lust, greed, and anger, these three can be dovetailed, but envy can't be dovetailed, and envy is the original sin. It's that's the reason we are here, right? Excuse me. Envy is the reason why we are here and in this material world, because we envy Krishna. So envy is so dangerous, and it can't be dovetailed. You can dovetail lust to love, and you can dovetail greed to selfless service, and anger to tolerance. We can do that, but there is no dovetailing to envy. And also, we have three pillars in Krishna consciousness given by Lord Chaitanya, which were Namruchi, Vaishnav Seva, and Jiva Daya. And all these are ruined due to envy. It's the thing, because if you are an envious person, then you're not going to be able to chant because you're causing offenses, right? If you having difficulty chanting, it's because you're causing some kind of offense. If you can't focus on your chanting, you're causing offenses, and that envy is one of the offenses that you're envious of the Vaishnavas or people. So you can't chant. And then how are you going to show Jiva Daya and Vaishnav Seva if you are envious of all the Vaishnavas or all the Jivas? If you are envious, then you can't serve them, because you're not happy to see them flourish and become better, going closer to Krishna, advancing. If you're not happy, you're not going to be able to serve them. So it is very, very destructible situation. So we need to get rid of this envy. And like you, Mata, you mentioned that absorption is the key. That the class I was giving on Sunday is similar kind of thing, that we need to absorb our senses and our mind into Krishna consciousness, because the reason we're getting the envy is because we have material desires. Like Indra, he's material minded. He wants to be better than everybody else. He wants the kingdom to himself. He's always feared, or somebody else will take my material opulence, somebody else will take my wealth and my kingdom, my seat, because he's so material minded, because he's not absorbed in Krishna's consciousness. And if we are envy of somebody, it's mainly because we are materially minded. Those material desires are coming into us and we want to be better. So absorbing our senses and mind in Krishna takes away the envy, because you're purifying yourself, and secondly, you're not letting these material ideas into your head, which magnify and ruin your bhakti. So it's very, very important. Yeah, envy is very dangerous. So you have to be mindful of that and try and escape from it by attaching on to Krishna himself. So thank you so much. Jai Prabhu is listening, that's fine. Okay, and thank you. My father-in-law is here as well. So let's do a couple of rounds. Rukmini Mataji here. Mataji, if you like to do the first round, and then Praveen Mataji can do the second round. Hare Krishna.
Just a minute.